Welcome back to Python RPA. In today's lesson, we will build a process. We will read application field data, write that data to a file, send emails, and use multiple cycles. Let's get started. In today's lesson, we will collect data from the free address book application, mimicking users' actions. We will then enter that data into Excel, and then we'll send letters to potential customers based on that data. Since we have quite a complicated scenario which we created at an earlier lesson, let's create a new scenario and call it Gather and Send Data. Let's save it and open the new scenario. Let's start. At first, we will check if we have the free address book application on the screen. Let's launch it for test purposes. In our case, we will use the check selector activity card to see if the application is opened. We will check the presence of one of the free address book selectors. We select a random element on the application interface. This card returns either true or false depending on the presence of the selector. We add the if-else card and enter the preceding card's ID into the condition field by clicking the ID number of the check selector card and pasting it into the condition field of the if-else card. If the selector of the free address book application is absent, in other words, the application is not running, we will launch it in the process. We will use the Run Application card for that purpose. We will use the earlier created parameter appPath for the path of the application. We will then add the Wait for Selector to Appear card and choose an element on the interface of the application to wait for. Then set the wait time for 30 seconds. Next, we will have to open every entry in the application in a cycle and copy data of the first name, the last name, and the email address. We need to get the position of each element on the interface for that purpose. We have the number of rows at the bottom of the screen. We have to extract it. We will use the Get Selected Details to do that and select the proper element on the screen with the row number. Let's edit the selector and check the title on the selector interface since it may change, and press Submit. Since the selected title with the raw number will change, now it is 4 out of 4. It could be 1 out of 4, or 5 out of 5, etc. We have to change it with a regular expression. We enter the word regex, then a bracket, then a dot, which means any symbol, a forward slash, another dot, and a bracket. Now the bot will be looking for any symbol, then a slash, then any symbol again. Just what we need. We check the regular expression box on the card. According to the process logic so far, we check the presence of the selector. If it doesn't exist, we'll launch the application. If it is present, we get the selected details. If the application needs to be launched, we then connect the Wait for Selector to Appear card to the Get Selected Details card, since we need to get the selector properties. Let's start the bot. The bot generates an error. In this case, the Get Selected Details card produced an error. We may replace it, in this instance, with the Get Selected Text card. We use Browse to select the required element, uncheck the title, check the regular expression box and add the regular expression to the selector. Let's try the bot one more time. The Get Selected Text card returned the property of the number of rows element. We delete the Get Selected Details card and move on. Next, let's process the selector property the card returned. We add the Run Python script card to the process. We will take the value returned by the preceding card by entering its ID and use the split command to extract the required value. We will split the value at the /. In other words, we will split it into two elements, the first one before the slash and the second one after. We will take only the second element, the one after the slash. We will enter number 1 in this case since the count starts from 0. We will further have the extracted value returned by the Run Python script card by adding the return command in the beginning of the expression, and finally convert the received value to the integer type. We run the bot. The bot returns an error. It is because the Get Selected Text card returned an array. So we need to extract the only element of the array first and then split it. We start the bot now. And we get the value 4, which is what we need. Next, we need to run a cycle to get all of the entries. In our case, we will use the for_i card. We start with a 0 element. We add the preceding card ID into the next field since it gives us the number of the rows we need. We specify 1 in the step size, so now the cycle will run 4 times. We will add the indexing variable by giving it a name. Next, we have to perform some action, which will be a double click. It will be done by the desktop click card. Click the Browse button and select the first data raw. We uncheck the selected title, which reads Sign up to our newsletter since it may change. In level 7, we can see Custom Title Row 0 and First Name Row 0. In level 7, we can uncheck the title First Name Row 0 since we will leave the title Row 0 in level 6. And then click Submit. Next, we have to edit the selector in the card. Instead of row 0, we need the number of the cycle iteration. So we insert the name of the indexing variable from the cycle card, which is raw no. So on the first iteration it will be raw 0, in the second iteration of the cycle it will be raw 1, and so on. Next, we specify that it will be a double click in the options field. And we will add the Wait for Selector to Appear card next. We select an element on the contact editor to wait for to appear on the screen. We set the wait time for 30 seconds. We need to copy 3 fields from the contact editor window. we will use the getSelectedDetails for that purpose. And at first we select the first name field to get the data from. We can further add a commentary to the card that it gets the first name data. We add another getSelectedDetail card to get the last name field data. Add a commentary. And another getSelectedDetail card for the email address. We add a commentary as well. Now that we have read the data, we need to save it somewhere. Let's create an Excel file and call it Gathered Data. Next, we will create headers in the file: first name, last name, and email. We save the file. To add data to the file, we first need to read the file, the table it has, and then add data we have extracted from the fields of the application to the table. So we add the read data card to the bot. We specify the file path first. We read the file starting from cell A2 since we do not need to read the headers. Next, we will add the Run Python script card and copy the read data card ID to it. We will use the append command to pass an array of the data values we have extracted from the application. We copy the ID of the card which extracted the first name data, paste it in, put a comma, then the ID of the card which extracted the last name and the email. Next, we add the return command in the beginning of the expression. This way, the card will add the extracted values to the table we received from the Excel file in each iteration. Next, we have to add the table to the Excel file. We use the write data card for that purpose. We check the inherit box and add the read data card ID. We add the Run Python script card ID to the data field. We also specify the A2 cell as a starting cell to write data from. Next, we use the Save Data card with the inherit function to save the file. We select the directory where the file is saved to. If we use the name of the file we used initially, the bot will override the file. If we use a different name, the bot will create a new file. Thus far, we have learned to open applications, iterate through its elements, read data, and write the data to a file. Once the cycle finishes, we can again read the data from the specified file starting from A2. We will then use another cycle, the for each activity card this time. We add the read data card ID to the for each card. We create an iterative variable by entering a name in the field. We will call it raw. And then create an indexing variable by giving it a name. Let's call it raw index. We will send emails on each iterations, so we will add the send mail card. Here we put the sender address first. Next, we enter the email password. You may find detailed information on how to find it in the sent email lesson. Next, we add the SMTP server address. In the receivers field, we enter the variable we have created earlier, the raw variable with number 2 from the for each card, which stands for the third position in an array since the count starts with 0. Next, enter the subject. Next, enter the body of the letter. We will replace the words first name and last name with a variable we set up in the for each card, which is raw 0 for the first name and raw 1 for the last name. Let's add a link in the body of the letter, which we will create as a global variable in the bot and call it link to Google form. Next, let's start the bot and see what it does. Well, there is one thing we forgot. Once the bot is done reading the data from the fields, it has to close the contact editor window. Otherwise, the bot will not be able to double-click a raw in the free address book window. We will add that step right after the bot finishes reading the data fields. We will add the desktop click card. Which will in turn click the cancel button on the contact editor window. We also made an error in the write data card. Since we initially created a table in the read data card and then modified it in the run Python script card, we can continue to work with the table generated in the read data card and use that card's ID. In other words, the ID of the value produced by the read data card and further use it in the write data card. If we would create an array and not just modify it in the run Python script card, we would then use the run Python script card ID to specify the array, created in that card. Now let's run the bot, close the contact editor window. As we can see, the bot reads data from the entries in the free address book. Yet the bot generates an error. It is in the send mail card. If we press the ID specified in the error log, the card with that ID will be highlighted. If we review the data in the receivers field, we will find that we forgot to wrap the variable name in double curly brackets. We fix the variable and try to run the bot again. The bot runs, yet the error remains. It is because we have to pass the variable as a string type. So we surround the variable with asterisks and try to run the bot one more time. The bot finishes successfully. As we can see in the logs, the bot collected data and then sent emails in a cycle. If we open the email out box, we will see multiple email letters sent out, where the data from the free address book was inserted into the body of each email letter. Let's check the Excel file. As we can see, the data from the app was entered into the file, in this case twice, since the bot ran twice and we did not add steps to clear data from the file. One thing to add is that since our process came out so long, so to say, it is better to rearrange the cards, placing 4 cards in a row consecutively, whatever is more comfortable for the user. We may also press collapse nodes in the edit menu to shrink the card size and have a better view of the process. We can then click expand nodes to return the original card's look. That would be it for the lesson. Great, let's review the lesson. In this lesson, we built a process which read data of several application fields, then wrote that data to a file. We then read the file and used the cycle to send multiple emails out. We identified several errors while reviewing the process and fixed them. It is recommended to watch this video one more time to better understand the use of the activity cards. Well, thank you for watching this video and come back for more lessons on Python RPA.